Lord Shiva, whose adornment is the serpent, and it is a pattern. An ode to that adornment of the serpent, a small pattern.
Namaskar everyone, I welcome you to our interview series in Pursuit of Excellence presented by Sahapedia and Sangeet Vidyaniketan. Today we have amongst us renowned Kathak dancers and Guru, SNA and Padma Shri awardee, Shobna Narayan ji. Namaste Shobna ji.
Namaste, Madhur ji. Thank you very much. बहुत ही अच्छा लगा on your show.
It's finally raining in Delhi. What a good time to schedule the interview. So yeah. Shobna ji, जैसे we were talking about your journey with Kathak, and you have been a proponent of this style for over close to 5 decades now, I think, right?
More than that, 67 years.
Wow. So it's like close to 7 decades. Yes. So,
Close to 7 decades.
So I would like to have this insight on, in 7 decades, 70 years is a long time. What changes have you seen in what Kathak was and what Kathak is now? And but before that, I would like to know how Kathak happened to you. So if you could just take us through your early life and कैसे आपका परिचय हुआ इस डांस से?
Well, first of all, I have to start off with that I don't come from a traditional music or dance family. A completely different background. And my father was in civil service, my mother in social work, and my grandfather and all, they were zamindars, and he was barrister at law. He was also the member of parliament, that time it's called assembly, in 1923, 24, etc. So it was a freedom fighters family, but it was a very forward-looking family, very visionary. And so every child had to learn something, had to be schooled in all the kalas, everything, including studies, including academy. And it so happened, as my parents would say, that when I was 3 years old, or barely 3, I would probably, in order to channelize my excessive energy, I was born in Calcutta because that was where my father was posted. So they took me to Guru Sadhana Bose, the famous dancer actress of those days. In fact, she was quite surprised to see my size and my age. And so she told my mother that, why have you brought me a babe in arms, that way, in Bengali. And so that was my first introduction to Kathak. But so it was natural. I did not choose Kathak, but Kathak chose me. But later on, when my father was transferred to Bombay, my mother, my parents gave me the opportunity of learning both styles. At that time, there were only 2 predominant styles, Kathak and Bharatnatyam. So even I learned Bharatnatyam, and but somehow the other, I felt that my heart was more in Kathak. And so even I had done my Arangetram, by the way, in Bharatnatyam. But my heart, you had to learn those fixed number of items, about 8 or 10 items, etc. So I've gone through all that. However, my heart was in Kathak. And I told my parents that my heart is in Kathak. So they said, it's your choice. We've given you the choice. It's up to you. So that is how it happened. And that for me, Kathak was, I mean, without doubt, even from that age of 3 onwards, I knew it was my life, my breath, my soul, my Atma. And I just couldn't think of living without it, and so that became my, a part of my life, part of my being,
Yeah,
the right since. And
absolutely.
so that is how, even when I got the opportunity of doing something else, I mean, for me, I knew in my mind and heart. Why? At that time, you don't uh, sort of find out why is it so. Why are you taking the decision? But it was my decision. So,
Yeah.
and my
And
parents were
in this journey, Shobna ji, आपको बहुत अच्छे गुरुओं का सानिध्य भी मिला है. If you would like to begin from, I mean, if you could just trace us like your journey with your gurus in Kathak.
my 3 gurus. I had 3 gurus, and it happened 3 gurus because of the different stations of posting. Calcutta, Guru Sadhna Bose. And I think she was the one who actually मेरे पैर पकड़ के ता थे ता थे, वो जो एक बीज बोने का काम किया था. She was the one who really sowed the seeds of the part. And my parents used to in fact take me a lot to all performances, all musical concerts. उस जमाने में हम festivals नहीं कहते थे, हम conferences बोलते थे. तो वो सब conferences वगैरह. और फिर बॉम्बे में गुरु कुंदन लाल सिसोदिया, not not गुरु कुंदन लाल सिसोदिया, वो थे. बहुत प्यार से the basic technicality, the rhythm, the tal, the lay, etc. बहुत प्यार से उन्होंने सिखाया. And फिर जब हम दिल्ली आए, then it was Guru Birju Maharaj Ji. And at that time, sort of, he was very young. He was also evolving. And we were amongst the few students of his early days. I was probably the 3rd batch of his students, because the first one was Pratap Pawar and Tirath Bhai. And I think in the second batch was Bharti Gupta and others. And then I came in the 3rd. And then after that, then of course, many of them. And the detailing of how till then one had seen Kathak, I would say, in a way, the kind of aesthetics which has gone into the movement of Kathak, etc. That one can owe it to Birju Maharaj Ji. And the way, as a teacher, he was impeccable. Like the other 2 were impeccable in their own way. Here was one who instilled into me about the beauty of aesthetics of the anga. That, every anga, how beautiful it is, how it has to be done, how much of bend there should be, नजर कहाँ जाएगी, अगर हाथ है तो कितना ऊपर उठेगा, कितना ये होगा, कितना सीधा होगा, कितना ये होगा, कितनी आपकी झुकाव होगी जब आप कोई ऊपर, those kind of, पैर कितना झुकेगा, उस movement पे कितनी झुका, that whole lines and curvatures of each, and understanding that each movement has a life of its own, that each movement is telling something. It's just not a movement. And that whole aesthetics about, if I can call it an Anga Kavya, okay, it's a poetry by itself. So that aesthetic of the Anga Kavya, and I remember those days, I'm ever so grateful to Maharaji and to all my gurus. But here was a guru who never charged me a single penny, never, came to my house every day, would teach me for 3 to 4 hours every day, knowing that I was equally as studious And then I, with all my, they say, he would come to my house at 7:30 in the evening, his 7:15, 7:30, his, that time he had a blue ambassador. So his blue ambassador would be, would come to arrive at the house, and he would teach me till 10:30 at night. And my mother would be watching, and after he would leave, she said, "Tumne ye samjha nahi," because she had a hawk's eye, you know, about, and she would say, "Okay, you did not understand this movement. This was like this, what he meant," and I would be made to go through those things again. So I cannot. I'm so indebted. I don't know how to say that. You know how to even. So I'm just so indebted to all my three gurus and Maharaji for instilling in me those kind of the, the detailing, the spirit and ethos of Kathak. But I'd like to mention two more gurus who, I mean, who never gave me that technical thing, not in that formal guru sense, but I consider them. And one was, of course, my mother, who kept on guiding me. Every little, even if I've got that, every time she'd say कि तुम इसकी गहराई में जाओ, इसकी गहराई में जाओ, तुम ये साहित्य पढ़ो, इसकी गहराई में जाओ. And anyway, हमारे घर में बहुत साहित्य होता था, you know, साहित्यकार लोग आते थे. And the other one was Naina Devi. Naina Devi was the famous Thumri singer, and it so happened, and she was the younger sister of my first guru, Sadhna Bose.
Oh.
So they were three sisters. The eldest one was married into the Chittagong royal family, and Sadhna Bose went into dancing career and films, and Naina Devi was actually married into the Kapurthala royal family. But when she became a widow, then she took on the stage name of Naina Devi. Otherwise, she was Nilina Sen, Nilina Ripjit Singh. And so she would also keep, she had a great interest in me because of Sadhana ji. And and she would also tell me, she would say the same thing what my mother would say. So I'm indebted to the other two gurus who were there to keep. So formally I had three gurus, but otherwise 5 gurus. The two ladies were amazing.
And Shrimanji, before I go on into your how you almost completed your PhD, but gave the IAS exam. Before that, I want to ask you this, because we are talking about gurus and your early training. What is the difference that you see in those early gurus training you and the training which the pedagogical difference that you see now, how students are taught? Is there any difference, and what is this? Is there a paradigm shift? I want you to comment on that, probably.
I see, I never learned in an institution.
Yes.
You know, so I never learned in an institution. But the 2 years when I was the national scholarship holder, then I had to be enrolled in Kathak Kendra. Yeah. So that was the only 2 years when I was enrolled in the Kathak Kendras because of my national scholarship. So now, what I hear now from the institutional kind of a training being imparted by various institutions, I mean, I'm talking about the so-called established institutions. I would say that the pedagogy in our times was still evolving. It was evolving. It was completely different. First, you know, in the basics it's the same, but
and everything.
Yes, exactly. The basics is the same. कि आप you know, पद संचालन कैसे होना चाहिए, movements कैसे हो जाए, हस्तक कैसे होना चाहिए. But जो detailing है, and there's one कि अब जो when I hear about how it is, because I'm also on the board of some of these universities, deemed universities, and the other kendras, etc. One sees that, in fact, it was basically, I would say a kind of a systematic pedagogy of teaching in the institution really started in the 80s. Because till then the gurus were still old timer gurus. But then by the time, it started, then you kept on hearing then how even that every student should know what the theoretical part of it is, the theory part of it is, etc. So the linking of practical and the theory, I think that started taking a pattern, a format, a formalization in the pedagogy. And that basically, I would say, really started in the 80s.
80s.
Till then, yeah, till then it was evolving. Um, and so now, of course, because till then it was different, but I think those early days was a period of evolution of and yet you had fabulous great artists in that old style of teaching. Today it is a formalized pedagogy of teaching, of imparting lessons. So
And which
so
one do you
that's it.
prefer? Which one do you prefer? As a student of Kathak and now as a guru of Kathak, which one do you prefer? The institutionalized teaching or a one-to-one guru to student teaching?
Uh, whether it's one to one, of course you learn a lot much more, because you actually, it's not that you're dancing the whole time. You're sitting and talking, you're discussing things, you're talking about ये क्यों है वैसे, वो क्यों है ये क्यों, so you're able to discuss, perhaps in an institutionalized way because of the time constraints and etc. That may not be possible. But however, having said that, I find that students who really want to learn more
Yeah, they find a
do
way.
manage to do it. Do manage to do it. But I would say that, uh, but a lot, this is now a general comment, that everybody today, everybody, it's in the environment around, is in a hurry. So everybody is in a hurry, and therefore, I think to be able to question, to be able to go deep, I think you can just sort of count on your fingers.
Yeah, and analyze the form, the structure.
Yeah, analyze, and you can just count. Otherwise, most of them are, I think they are much more, wants to be a stage performer.
Everyone wants to be a star.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think, but that is happening in all dance forms. It's happening all over. Not only in dance forms, it's happening in other forms also. In other vocations also.
I think it's a matter of generation now. I mean, the generation is such.
Yeah.
It's not just dance or music. It's in studies. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
But I believe you were not in a hurry, and you wanted to give your IS exams, and so you did, and you did get IN and S, the audit segment of the.
For me, that is a question which I'm always asked. That you have एक हमेशा इस पर एक लाइन में होना चाहिए, ये होना चाहिए, वो होना चाहिए. Now, I don't know. I do not know. The only, when I said not in a hurry, you use the word not in a hurry. I remember when I first came to Delhi. Till then I was on stage because, and I would. I've got my shields and medals and everywhere dancing before this president and that one, as young child artists and everybody. That was, but Maharaj suddenly said, no, you will not go on to the stage for the next 3 years.
Why?
Because I need to correct your anger. I need to correct this. Now, there was sense in what he said. And my parents were, the parents of those days were very different from the parents of today. Today's parents are also in a hurry. And my parents said, absolutely. agreed. They said she will not go on stage till she's perfect, that way. So I remember that now, and I also agree, I was happy with it because I could. Now, when he did, would you believe it? He himself launched me in Sapru House. After that 3-year gap, he himself launched me in Sapru House by making me dance before him. For 20 minutes, half an hour, I performed, and then he came onto the stage. So that was a fabulous launching part. So after that, then of course, so by 70, 71, as a professional, I started being known as a professional. Now, about the IAS, that scored, I don't know, I just loved my academics also, right? It wasn't that it was something different. For me, dance, it's like I always say, if you're breathing and can you stop breathing and then do something else?
Yeah.
So for me, dance, you do so many things, but yet you're breathing. It's part of you. You can't do without it. For me, dance was part of me. That was my breath. That was my Atma. So, and I love my studies. So I was always good at academics, and as a contrast, I just loved my physics and maths. I just loved physics and math, and so it is so natural for me to choose science as a stream, go into doing physics honors and MSc physics, and doing my research in physics. My dissertation was ready, except that I did not submit it, much to the agony and dismay of my guides of that time. So for me, even joining civil service and dance, and parallelly dance was going on, was no big deal, because I was used to time management and mental management.
Yes. Yes.
Because
yeah.
I wanted to say that, and that in a way, that came from my mother in both ways. One day I was studying and some exams or something, and I was studying, and so she kept on watching me, and I was studying 18 hours a day, but I was looking out also. Then she just told me very softly, just close your books, go. You want to dance, isn't it? I said, yes. So go out and dance, go out and play, do whatever you want, but no more studies. Because my mind was not in my studies. She says, I don't want you to be sitting for 18 hours and saying, I'm working for 18 hours studying, whereas your mind is half the time on dance or something else. So she said, go and dance. And then I went and danced and danced and danced and danced, and I came back all refreshed, and then I studied so well. So that was it for me. So for me, that duality came right about that understanding of right from the age of 8, 9 or so, that way. So for me, it was part of my being, my life.
Yeah.
So there was no conscious decision.
But Shobna ji, even if you are well aware of how to balance your life, between dance and work, I'm sure there must be challenges, when you officially enter the service, if you could just take us through, even if there were no challenges, how did you manage 2 full-time, full-fledged careers? I know you don't consider dance as your career, you consider dance as your being, but still these are very 2 demanding, and how were you juggling between the 2? Were there any challenges? How was your life when you were a full-time officer and also a dancer?
See, the challenges was more, my daily routine was the same. My daily routine was always the same, which means I would get up early in the morning. I still do, but compared to earlier. So when I used to get up at 3:34, from 4 o'clock to about 7 o'clock, I used to do my riyaz, my personal riyaz. I remember even one young tabla player, you know, those days, young tabla players, when they wanted the practice, they used to come to my place at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I was already sweating and doing my riyaz, and they would be there and do and work with me till 7:30, and then I would get ready. I say, bhago, bhago, I have to go, and then I would be in office. And my gadi used to be packed in the days I had my programs. My gadi was packed with the tabla, harmonium, my costume, my makeup, and straight from office I would go to Kamani or whatever it was. And if it was at outstation, because even in those days, the average number of programs that I was doing was about 6, 7, 8 performances a month. So even now it's like that, you know, 6, 7. So that hasn't changed. But the challenge was one more, I would say, of people and their comments and their this thing. Because suddenly the world of dance looked at you with very different eyes. They sort of literally negated you. They literally made all kinds of, you know, all kinds of different remarks came one way, and very uncharitable remarks. But also in the office arena, once they came to know that I was there also. So I was under double scrutiny, both in the world of dance as well as in the world of office. So it was double scrutiny at both ends. And so it was only because, you see, anywhere, whether it is in office or whether in any vocation, whether this vocation or that, it's only your work which carries you through.
Yes.
Nothing else carries you. It's only your work, and therefore those were the only challenges. So I was always under double scrutiny in both worlds.
Yeah.
It is not in one single world, but both worlds. There also.
And
you know how the government mindset is. If anybody's a sportsman or a dancer or in the field of art, wo kya karenge? Wo kya this thing?
Yeah, yeah. And how were your gurus, and especially Maharaj Ji? I mean, were they there, supportive of you following your 2 career choices? How was this time?
I think he was disappointed in the beginning. It took him a long time to come to terms with it.
Okay, okay. And since we're talking about those times when you were juggling between, working full time and also performing, let's talk about the performance scene also, because you said, that you used to perform 6 times a month, which is also quite heavy, for certain dancers. What was the Kathak that you performed at that time? Is it different now that you perform? And also, what did you see at that time as Kathak? And what do you see now? So your own individual style and also what you saw in the field. If you could just take us through that.
My own individual style, okay, is that when when you're young, all the movements sort of there are, say, X of the things, so you are trying to do everything. But the more mature you become, the more you start understanding, you realize that there's no need for so many movements, and that can be done with lesser number. So that understanding, the more you go into it, the flavor of your own dance changes.
Yeah, the calmness.
The rendition changes.
Yeah,
the rendition changes. So that, of course, has been, and since I was always interested in Sahitya,
yes,
and so I was always, because that was my upbringing at home. I grew up hearing Bhagavad Gita, and so I can still, even at that time, I could, when I had not read the Bhagavad Gita, but I could even then sing out your, I don't know why they're 11वां अध्याय, the 11th chapter. उत्थाने ऋषिकेश तव प्रकृत्या jagat prahar. I can go on and on. I can sing that whole chapter because my mother used to sing for me. And so, and she would, so I grew up with Sanskrit literature, Hindi literature, philosophy, Indian philosophy in our home. We had literateurs coming home at the whole time. So, so that was part of me. So obviously it found reflection in my Abhinay. So that, so I would, so right since the 70s, the reflection was there in my Abhinay. And so that's how, and so that was it, and that still continues. That, so for me, dance meant that balance of rhythm and Abhinay, rhythmic element and Abhinay, which used to be there in most of the cases of dancers of yore. Today, of course, it's more rhythmic heavy.
The pyrokinetics have taken over the Sahitya part of it.
Yeah. And now, if I'm talking about, that was about my journey, but if I'm talking about how dance has changed or the atmosphere that I've seen, in those days, I would say that, you know, there was no such emphasis on lights.
On lights.
Today, there's emphasis on lights.
Okay.
Today, there are more, I would say, group choreographies compared to solos.
Yeah.
Because there, the emphasis, I mean, group choreographies were far and few. So here today, that is a difference. Then another thing is that what I would also say is that the duration of a performance. Earlier, we used to do for 2.5 hours, 3 hours, non-stop. Yeah. Today, it's a different matter. Then, because today nobody has the time, but you have the external environment of security issues, one can understand that. That was it. Then the other aspect where it has changed is in those days, if you were invited outside, the organizers used to book the tabla player of their choice. You were not supposed to take the tabla. So now, accordingly, I had the opportunity as a young dancer to have, at those days, they were the greats. Ustad Latif Ahmed Khan accompanied me on the tabla. Pandit Kishan Maharaj accompanied me on the tabla. Pandit Samta Prasad ji, also known as Godai Maharaj ji, accompanied me on the tabla. So those days, that was a thing. And today, it is a package that you come, that way you come with. So that's a big shift.
But I want to ask you, Shobna ji, sorry I'm interrupting. When you're saying that the organizer used to choose your accompanist, was it possible because Kathak is an open-ended format, has an open-ended format? I mean, how did you even work that out? Because what you wanted to, उस time पे तो SMS और WhatsApp भी नहीं था, तो आप
No, but see, no, there's a little difference between the Nritta portion rendering, Nritta portion, which you call the Tayari Ang, then Nritta Ang, the Shuddha Paddhati portion, rendering, distinct from the Abhinay. Abhinay के लिए तो आपका गाना वाला था, ठीक है? तो अभिनय में तो ज़्यादातर ठेका ही लगता है, you know, that way because, so now the Nritta portion rendering, now in that, it is the mettle of the dancer was being tested. How good, how pakka are you in your tal, lay, etc. Padhan. So every artist had, in Kathak, as you know, you have to do your own padhan, which others call it Natvangam, the others call it by other names. You have to do it. So you might have preset rhythmic patterns, but you might change the sequence. It is not necessary that this will come after this and after so many hours, then this is going to come. No. So there is a, oh, it is like, a Hindustani music ka alap.
Yeah, it could just
You
go
know,
anywhere.
You can, it is that, so that nrit portion,
Yeah,
इसमें भी बंधन है और निबद्ध भी है, दोनों है,
हाँ,
बंधक भी है और निबद्ध भी है, क्योंकि बंधन तो है यार, आपके रिदमिक पैटर्न्स का बंधन है, ताल लय रिदम का बंधन है, लेकिन निबद्ध इसमें है, you can change the sequencing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can. So up now, so what happened? So the padhan, you're doing the padhan. Now the tabla player will hear it once. Now he's looking at you, but you have to be so pakka that while you're, because he's only heard it once. Maximum he'll say, "Beta, dobara bolo," but he's trying to understand the lehza of this, and so he's just trying to follow. So that is why it's very difficult even for a tabla player to play for dance.
Yeah, yeah.
The bowls of the dance bowls are very different. The phrases,
Yeah.
the angahars of the dance phrases are very different.
Also, I think Upajang would have been greater than what it is now. The Upajang. मतलब बहुत ज़्यादा.
The Upajang was always there. The Upajang was always there. So I remember in one program that was in Kanpur Festival, and Pandit Kishan Maharaj Ji was on the tabla. I was doing something, and then he would answer. Then you say, "Beta, I'm saying something." He himself would say something, and I would listen. I said, and then I would do it out. Then I would say, Chacha, you have said it in this jati. There's another thing that I remember in Mishra Jati. Here it is. Then he would, so that went on, would you believe it? That program went on for 4.5 hours.
This was on stage, like
on stage. The Abhinay Ang was completely separate, but I'm talking about. So of course, in that 4.5 hours, there was a Abhinay Ang also, but this Nrit Ang was, it just extended more than it should have been, but because
आप लयकारी में खेलते थे, the tabla player.
हम लोग लयकारी में खेल रहे हैं, अच्छा, लेकिन अभिनय अंग में भी हम खेल रहे हैं, इसलिए क्योंकि just when Pandit Jwala Prasad used to sing for me, now when he's singing for me, it is not, he would never fix up. He knew that I am, and he would just sometimes, go into a mood. And now a good Kathak artist should know music, because you have to understand music. You have to understand each and every note. You have to understand the way it's going, because it's either sort of emoting it in a different way. It's an emotional call of a different kind. And so, so he would keep going, and then, and then I would, I knew exactly where he was going. And sometimes when he would go into the decks and he saw me, I'm still immersed in my Abhinay, then he would extend his singing to match my Abhinay. Yeah. So there's a lot of Upaj Ang even in Abhinay. It's not only in Rhythmic Ang, both in Abhinay Ang as well as in the Rhythmic Ang.
And Shona ji, since you brought this topic of that there was no emphasis on lighting at that time, I remember one very famous thing, Shambhu Maharaj ji, a lightsman asked कि आपको कौन सा रंग दूं, and he said, कि तुम मुझे रंग दोगे. But now that there's great emphasis on light and the entire presentation, do you think that it has enhanced the style or it is detrimental? I mean, what is your take? Now that there's a presentation and a package, what is your take on, especially in Kathak?
See, I would say for all, because even at that time, even for other styles, lighting was not important. It was for all classical dance forms. Lighting was not important. I don't remember Kelubai bothering about the lights. For him, dance meant dance. or anybody. But today, of course, that's part. Now that changing aesthetics, it has its own appeal. I cannot say that that was better, this was better. No, this has its own advantages. It has its own strengths. Even the strength of presentation, the stage presentation. Like today, everybody, the aesthetics of even how the musicians should look, their costuming has also become part of that package, and which is a good thing,
Yeah.
That was not so earlier.
Yeah.
So I think there are strong points in every system.
Yeah.
But in those old days, the old timers, the old gurus would say, बेटा तुम्हारे डांस में इतना ये होना चाहिए दम कि अगर भरी दोपहरिया में तुमको you should feel the coolness of the night, and so should the audience feel the coolness of the night.
Yes.
And vice versa. कि आप रात ये है तो अगर रात को कर रहे हैं तो अगर भरी दोपहरिया की गर्मी है ये है, you should feel it, and so should the rasikas feel it.
And since we're talking about Rasikas and Rats, Shubhna ji, और आपने साहित्य का mention किया है, are there any particular poets, is there any particular literature that you have really, really delved into and you enjoy doing it on stage?
I've enjoyed doing a lot of poets.
Because I tell you, I saw one program of you on Vidyapati and the Ashtanayikas, where you had invited 8 dancers a couple of years ago at Habitat. It was such a beautifully curated program. I just want to know what tingles you when it comes to Sahitya and what's your inspiration?
I love Sahitya. I love Sahitya. First of all, I always say, जब हम शब्द कथक कह रहे हैं, कथक का मूल शब्द क्या है? कथा. जब आप कह रहे कथा, तो मतलब आप कुछ कम्युनिकेट कर रहे हैं. क्या कम्युनिकेट कर रहे हैं? You're communicating through something. Now you can only communicate with emotions. Now the rhythm becomes the medium. The text, the Sahitya becomes the medium. We also in Kathak have a non-Sahityik medium of even projecting, which is the Gatabhav.
Yes.
So that is also where you don't have a written text, but yet you're conveying an entire story. The rhythm only is going on, but there's no text. So what is it? It is again communication, where amongst the 4 abhinays, Vachika is latent. Vachika only comes through in a manner through the sound of the tablas and the musicians, that way. But otherwise, the other 3 are much more predominant, and yet you're communicating very successfully. So now that whole thing, that word itself, has a depth of meaning. It opens up a whole canvas of expression. In fact, life means expression. And then in that case, so I would say that what did you say? What the question was?
What is your inspiration when it comes to Sahitya?
When it comes, so for me, the inspiration is, it could be anything. It could be anything. It could be, for example, 79, I was reading Maithili Sharango. Now, and I was reading his Yashodhara. And when I started reading Yashodhara, I started weeping. I just started weeping. लोग तो सिनेमा में जाकर के रोते हैं, मैं तो वो साहित्य पढ़ के रो रही थी. और जब वो उसमें आया कि सखी वे मुझसे कहकर जाते, मैं I was झरझर आंसू, झरझरा. I could feel with her. I could feel the emotion and the pain of Yashodhara. And for me, when I feel something here and it moves me, it automatically translates itself into a medium where I can express, and which is dance. Yeah. And so that was the first time when I did Yashodhara in Kamani. That was, I think, March or April or something like that. And By then, nobody was familiar with the word Yashodhara. So they kept on saying Yashoda. I'm sorry, they corrected me. Yashoda. I said, no, Yashodhara. So I said, there's a difference. Yashoda is the mother of Krishna, but foster mother, but Yashodhara was the wife of Lord Buddha. But now, of course, everybody knows. But I'm talking about that time.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, it was something which moves me. When I read Sahitya, this, when it moves me, it automatically translates itself.
That is so beautiful, Shobna ji. And there's so many questions which I'd like to ask you. हम थोड़ा time थोड़ा हमारा we are running short. So there's this one final question which I'd like to ask. And since you're such a senior, seasoned performer and a guru, in times like these, it's so uncertain, where we don't know when we'll go on stage, when the audience can come. What do you think should be an artist's motivation? How can they keep the motivation up and keep their art up in these times?
See, an artist motivation comes from within. Every artist motivation comes from within. Yes, there are several of our brethren who are in, I would say, great financial trouble. They've been very, very strange circumstances. But when I talk to them, what do I say? In spite of their strange circumstances, what motivates their artists to go on, and they have a smile on their faces. They have of course they would like help, etc. But yet what? So it is that inner journeys, that, that ability to be one within yourself and experience that joy, even with yourself, within yourself. I think that for them, that the strength of the art itself is so deep down within artists that is what motivates them to go through all the troubled times, all through the great problems that they're all facing, and motivates them to keep on. Because artists are a breed who, and it's today COVID-19 is not the only case. Yes, the span has been a little long, but over history has also shown that there have been several periods where it is the artist community which are amongst the first ones to be affected, along with several others. Where even the livelihood, along with several others, the livelihood is affected. And yet,
they emerge.
There is a doggedness about them. There is I think it is, I just would say, it is the strength of the art alone, that ability to be able to, and that gives them the inner Shakti. That gives them the Shakti, that gives them the courage, that to go ahead, and despite all challenges. I know that for many artists, that these are very, very troubled times, extremely troubled times, and but it's wonderful to see, and also wonderful to see that how some artists, despite the troubled times, have taken to a way of even, because they're always creative. They're very, very creative lot. Everybody's creativity can be seen bursting forth in different ways. And I think this outlet of creativity that they have, the artist, is their strength. That they're able to create, they're able to express their creativity. It also gives them an inner strength.
Yes. So thank you, Shobna ji. It was really a beautiful talk, and I got to learn so much, personally. And आपने हमें इतना समय दिया. Very thankful to you, and I hope everybody will enjoy listening to your profound thoughts. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.